Midlands 103 podcasts. 100% Irish. The VIP.
Midlands 103. Feel Good Radio. Feel Good podcasts too. Hi there. It's Niall O'Keefe here with a podcast from the VIP, Midlands 103's very Irish playlist, where I interviewed the brilliant George Murphy and some members of his band, the Rising Suns. The guys played a couple of songs for us, but for rights reasons, the song you'll hear in the middle of the interview, a cover version of the Bob Dylan song Sarah, has been shortened for the podcast. I hope you enjoy it, and to hear more, find Midlands 103 podcasts on our website, midlands103.com, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Midlands 103.
Feel Good Radio, Midlands 103. It is the VIP, and it's Niall OK in for Adam C. And four lads have just come into the studio with their instruments, and they want to play a song. So do you know what? I think I'm going to let them. Take it away, boys.
Month of June, first from home I started, left the girls at home so sad and broken hearted, saluted the father dear, kissed the darling mother, drank a pint of beer, grief and tears to smother, then off to reap the corn, leave where I was born, cut the stout black thorn to banish ghost and gobble and brand new pair of brogues, rattled over the bogs, frightened all the dogs on the rocky road, the double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hunt the hare and torn her down the rocky road, all the way to double and whack for lully-da. Well, in Mullingar that night, a rested limb so weary started by daylight. Next morning bright, and Italy took a drop of pure. Keep the heart from sinking, that's the paddy's cure. If everybody's up for drink and see the lassie smile, laughing all the while at the curious style that set your heart. The bubbling asked if I was hired, wages I required. I was nearly tired on the rocky road, the double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the hare and torn her down the rocky road, all the way to double and whack for lully-da. In double and next the ride, I thought it such a pity to be so soon deprived of view of that fine city. Then I took a stroll all among the quality bundle it was stole. In a neat locality something crossed me mind, when I looked behind the bundle could I find a bundle stick a wobble and wire and for the road set me Connacht Road, wasn't much in vogue on the rocky road, the double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put the hare and torn her down the rocky road, all the way to double and whack for lully-da. From there I got away, the spirits never failing, landed on the quay. As the ship was sailing, Captain at me roared, said that no room had he when I jumped aboard. Coming found for Paddy down among the pigs, played some funny rigs, danced some hearty jigs. The water round me bubbling went off Holyhead, wished myself was dead, a better fire instead. On the rocky road, the double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the hare and torn her down the rocky road, all the way to double and whack for lully-da. Well, the boys of Liverpool, when we safely landed, called myself a fool. I could no longer stand it, blood began to boil. Temper I was losing, poor old Aaron's Isle. They began abusing our army's holds as I shillelagh I let fly. All my boys are by, and so I was a-hobbling with the loud array, joining the affray, quickly cleared the way for the rocky road, the double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the hare and torn her down the rocky road, all the way to double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the hare and torn her down the rocky road, all the way to double and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the hare and torn her down the rocky road, and all the way to Dublin, whack for lully-da.
Lads, fantastic. All I said at the start there was four lads have shown up here in the studio and they want to play a song, and I'm about to let them, so I better introduce them now. You've heard a voice there that I can only say you're a star, because that's where I remember you from way, way back.
Jeez, you're going back, Niall. Yeah, that's 20 years ago now.
Is it that long?
I spent a lot of time during Eurostar here is actually down in Tullamore, because there was a load of contestants and people that were kind of from the Midlands and stuff like this, and this seemed to be the kind of have we all kind of hung out in the Bridge House an awful lot, you know.
Well, I shall finish introducing it's George Murphy and half of the Rising Sons.
Half of the Rising Sons and an additional Mr. Conor Kenny.
Welcome.
A lot of the melody players out of the Rising Sons are in their day jobs today.
Right.
So I have the bass player, Mr. Joey the Bass Hughes, and our percussionist, Mr. Shane O'Hannigan. But the melody players from the Sons couldn't make it, so I got on to my pal Conor Kenny from Wexford, who's doing great things on the folk music scene himself, and I asked him if he would come and join us to play a few tunes on the radio. You're missing an electric guitarist, a fiddle player, our usual banjo player, a mandolin player, a whistle player. So yeah, there's enough of us all together, you know.
Yeah, as you say, you're doing this a long old time. Like, so you're a star. You were saying it was like 20 years ago, and you had a number one album then, Dreamed a Dream, at a very young age as well, wasn't it? You were about 16, 17?
I was 17 when I auditioned for the TV show, but by the time I came out of it and went on to record my album, I was 18. So I was 18 when the first album came out. But
and honestly though, not kissing your backside butt, and I think of artists named George, I think George Harrison, I think George Michael, but I do think George Murphy, because it was such a distinctive voice, and I remember you from Eurostar, and I remember you stood out like a sore thumb on that show.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah, I mean, look, it's been good to me. It was a great platform. But what's kind of funny now, I suppose, is that for a lot of the kind of youth of today, for like, and I say that like I'm an old man, but I mean like people who are coming up now in their 20s and stuff like that, like they wouldn't remember really Eurostar, or they would have been.
Oh no, I'm an old fella.
But there's a new generation coming through, and what I'm doing now with the Rising Sons, it kind of feels like a fresh start all over again, you know. So even though it's been 20 years that I've been doing this, it feels like the first day all over again, because I'm hungry again, and we've got a project kind of going amongst ourselves that, you know, seems to be taken to a new audience around the country, which I'm very grateful for, you know.
You were kind of thrown into the deep end quite young, as you say, like, but you got used to success quite young. Like, that album went to number one, went triple platinum at the time.
Yeah.
But did you kind of get put into a box and this is how you sound? Did you have to go away to come back again and kind of reinvent?
Yeah, well, you do kind of. I mean, I suppose when I first sang, like, on the show, people were drawing comparisons with Luke Kelly and stuff, and you know that's obviously a huge compliment to me. But at the same time, I grew up listening to Luke Kelly, and for me there was only one Luke Kelly, and one was more than enough for everybody in Ireland and the world. There doesn't need to be another one. It was enough to just have him. But I suppose I want to find myself as George Murphy, and that's been a difficult road over 20 years, because when you are compared with other singers, or when people want to hear you sing songs from other singers, it's hard for you to pave your own way. And that's why I believe now with the Rising Sons, that's finally what's kind of starting to happen, because these lads are like, they're neighbours, they're friends, they're people from around the local area where we started this session, and we've come together for the love of playing music, and we're getting together and we're writing our own material. And if we are taking an old song, we're doing our version of it and trying to put our stamp on it. So it's made us very
it's given you your own sound. It's made you a bit more unique than at least like
than trying to copy what's gone before us.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, a massive compliment is to be told you sound like Luke Kelly, which there is that feel there, certainly, but it'd be nice to have people say, I want to sound like George Murphy as well, wouldn't you?
100%.
You're playing the Venue in Athlone.
I am.
You've played there before.
I have.
You packed it out before.
We did. It was sold out the last time we were there. It was a brilliant night, and so we're really looking forward now to going back. I actually lived in Athlone briefly back in my early 20s. So I had a load of friends down there, and I moved out of home for a few months and moved down to a couple of my pals down there, so I'm very familiar with all the bars and stuff down there, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of friends down there on the night and having a good old sing song, you know.
Well, it's only tomorrow night, so not far away, and there can't be too many tickets left, but you can check out the Venue's Facebook page, the Venue Athlone on Facebook, for more details. We'll get into more of your career shortly. You've duetted as well with a number of kind of famous people. We lost Christy Dignam recently, but who else have you sang alongside? Well,
I've done some stuff with Lisa Lamb, who's a fantastic singer. The Dubliners.
You were part of the High Kings for a while.
I was part of the High Kings for a couple of years as well. But the standout one for me would be Christy. You know, he was an absolute hero of mine.
And to get to do a Bob Dylan song with him.
Yeah, well, and you know something, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, and I didn't know that Bob Dylan song at the time. It was actually one of Christy's favourite songs, so it was one that he suggested, and I went away and listened to it, and I fell in love with it as well as soon as I heard it. And
as a duet for both of your singing styles and both of your voices, it actually worked really, really well.
Yeah,
I think.
No, it did, and it's one of them things. Even when I hear it now, or when I look back on it, it's bittersweet because, you know, obviously he's not with us anymore. And it's sad to think that, because you never think there's going to be a day where you can't go and see an Aslan concert. They were always going to be on somewhere, and you'd find them somewhere around the country. And I've been to countless Aslan gigs over the years, but to know that you're talking about Christy now as a thing of the past, it's a hard one to swallow, you know.
I actually played support to them as a DJ
very good.
a couple of times, and they have such a dedicated following. It is,
like unbelievable. The Finglas was swarmed full of people now on the day of his funeral, you know, and it was a testament to just how loved and liked he was, and he was salt of the earth as well, very down to earth, never got carried away by his fame or legendary status, you know.
Which he did have. And I remember actually like DJing a gig and I was on after them in the middle of County Meath, and I swear Finglas must have been empty that night and all moved to the middle of County Meath for it. Yeah. Well, listen, we better play that song anyway. So this is George with Christy, and this is their version of Sarah.
I laid on the dune, I looked at the sky when the children were babies and played on the beach. You came up behind me, I saw you go by. You were always so close, still within my reach. Sarah, Sarah, glamorous nymph with an arrow and bow. Sarah, Sarah, don't ever leave me, no, don't ever go.
It's the VIP on Midlands 103 with a Bob Dylan song. That is Sarah, but not by Bob in this case. It is by George Murphy and the late Christy Dignam. And you know what? It still doesn't feel right, does it? Saying the late Christy Dignam, George.
Yeah, you know, what's funny for me is the very first time I played in Vicar Street, I got called by Christy to come on as a special guest of Aslan. He signed a poster to me that night and it just said, "One day, George, you'll do this for me. One love, Christy." You know, and I never got the opportunity to return that favour to Christy, to actually do that for him. But in some kind of way, I am getting that opportunity because he has said he wants his daughter to carry on his legacy. And she is going to be our support act on our first Vicar Street day, which has just sold out. And so we're there on the 28th of September. And Ciara Dignam, who is a fantastic singer in her own right, is working on her first album. And I'm delighted that she's going to be our special guest on the night, because it makes me feel like things have kind of gone full circle, you know.
Yeah, that is fantastic. I mean, fantastic to be able to sell out Vicar Street as well. That's such a great venue in Dublin. 2010, you were playing festivals across the US. You moved to the US.
That's right,
in 2010. You've moved back since?
Yes, I'm back in Ireland now. I came home to kind of renew my visa.
Right.
And I got the news then at the time that my little girl was on her way. So we decided to stay in Ireland. It was a big kind of, everything kind of turned on its head for me then, because I had set so much stuff up for myself over in America, and my living was over there, and my gigs that were booked and stuff were over there. And the funny part about it was I was with a band at the time, and when I came home to renew the visa, I got them in on the visa. and they ended up selling up homes and moving families over to America.
You've changed a lot of lives.
Yeah, well, but it's weird because they all went,
Yeah.
and I ended up staying. And then I found myself, I was now staying in Ireland. I had a baby on the way. I had no gigs booked. I was back living at home with my mum and dad. Didn't play a guitar really at the time, so it very much was start all over again then from that point, you know. But look, a little girl, her name is Lily.
And how old is she now?
She's 10.
She's 10, so that was back in 2013 with no idea what was coming as regards like the pandemic. Like
Absolutely.
You set up the Rising Suns in 2019, and that was just before things went a bit crazy.
Askew. We were due to go out on our second tour. We had just had our first tour, which went very successfully for us, and we were being offered lots of great dates outside of Ireland, and we were just about to kind of kickstart with that, and then all of a sudden we were locked away for a couple of years, you know. But the less said about that time in everybody's lives, the better.
Was it productive?
Well, it was.
You, George, it was, wasn't it? You kind of put the graft in, and he kind of said we've done a lot of lives and stuff on Friday, on weekends, and Saturday and stuff, and it really, I think our following nearly doubled. Didn't
Yeah, well, we definitely found the use of social media.
So you're doing kind of streaming gigs, that kind of thing?
Yeah, well, we didn't really have much choice but to try and do that. But then even with one another, we were spending a lot of time with the likes of Zoom calls and WhatsApp video stuff like that, and sending each other ideas back and forward, because if we couldn't be physically present with one another in the room, but I might have an idea and I'd send it to Joe, and Joe would put some bass down, and then we'd send it to Shane and he'd put some drums down, and we kept on. We found ourselves being able to put together tracks without even
being in the same
space as each other, you know.
Yeah.
And that was fun because it was the only thing that could kind of keep us going creatively.
It was different, wasn't it? And it wasn't, and it was kind of protest against the lockdown in a way as well, wasn't it? And it gave you a chance, like, to perfect the sound where you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So
no, absolutely.
Thank God for technology.
Yeah.
But so as you say, like, now you're selling out gigs in Vicar Street. What's next?
Yeah, well, Scott, I honestly, after that, it's hard to know where to go. I mean, we set a goal for ourselves, Niall, when we put this together. We said to ourselves, let's take it out on the road and see how we do. And at that time, you know, we were kind of happy if we were doing 50 to 100 tickets. We were thinking that'll be great, and it'll cover the bills for the night in terms of travel and accommodation, and maybe we'll get a few euro in our pockets for a few pints. And it was all just about having the crack, you know.
But now is it off to Europe after America world domination on the horizons, or what?
If we can get the lads to leave their jobs, maybe, you know. But when Vicar Street sold out, Pat Egan management, Pat's been around the block. He's been doing it for over 50 years now. We actually brought Bob Marley to Ireland, to played in Dalymount Park, but he brought all the big superstars to Ireland back in the day, but he's delighted to have him in our corner now. But he's after booking us some gigs in 2024, which will see us in Ulster Hall, the Millennium Forum, the Cork Opera House, the Wexford Opera House, and like these are all the biggest kind of venues in the country. Now, I'm intimidated by the idea of these rooms. Now, I think we're more than capable, and I've an awful lot of trust in our sound and stuff, but it's one thing to sell 1,000 tickets in Dublin, where we're from. It's another thing to be trying to sell 1,000 tickets in Cork or in Wexford or in Belfast. It's going to be a big ask, but look, if you want to mix it with the big boys, then you have to.
It's great to be planning that far ahead, well into 2024,
Absolutely.
and as well, like people will know you better then because you've got an album.
Well, we've a new album coming out, and we're booked onto lots of festivals over the summer. We're playing the Fla, we're playing at Electric Picnic, we're playing the Ballyshannon Folk Festival. So there's lots of stuff coming up, and we're trying our best to look at the map of Ireland and say, okay, well, we haven't done much here and we haven't done much there, and be realistic, because you know you can come out of a gig in Vicar Street and there'll be 1,000 people there and you're on a high, but then you could drive down the road to play a gig in Kerry and there might only be 100 people there.
No, you'll fill those halls.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. Album coming out, and all the festivals will get into a lot more ears.
This is it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping.
With the Fly, you'll get a couple of 100,000 a day and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, for those who are listening, they can't see what's going on here, and I'm right up next to my microphone as I usually am as a presenter. George is about 2 or 3 feet away from it, but I'm looking at the levels and you're just as loud as I am.
No, big projection on the vocal.
This is it. Quickly, before we finish up and we get you to do another song, do quick word association. So see what, if you bang out 1 or 2 words for each of these, right? If I just say Elton John,
Rocket Man,
Bono,
1,
Taylor Swift.
Did I just say ha?
Okay, yeah. Daniel O'Donnell.
Gentleman.
You've met him?
I have.
Nice guy.
Lovely guy.
Well, there we go. Hothouse Flowers.
Class.
Yeah. And one that actually was another voice that came to mind when I heard your voice scores. Damien Dempsey.
Genius.
Very good. Finally, Oasis or Blur? Totally out of left field there, yeah?
I am more of an Oasis man.
Right.
But I would probably say Blur's stuff is better artistically.
Right. And their lyrics make more sense.
Yeah. But I'm more of an Oasis fan.
What about the rest of you? Oasis or Blur?
Blur for me. I loved the two of them in the 90s and stuff, but Blur,
there you
musically,
go.
definitely out.
But back in the 90s, it had to be one or the other. It's like, get off that fence.
It wasn't it, yeah.
It's like the Stones or the Beatles of the day.
This is it, back in the 60s. So, listen, it's been fantastic talking to you guys. You're playing in the Venue in Athlone tomorrow night, Friday. That's in the Prince of Wales Hotel. Check out the Venue Athlone on Facebook for the details to see if there's any tickets left. I doubt there will be, but have a look and see. So you're looking forward to that, but you're going to go out on a song. And what's it going to be?
I was listening to this on the way down, and we've never actually done a version of it kind of live, so we said we'd give it a bash. I'm pulling Joey off the bass and putting him on the acoustic guitar, and we're going to try Ralph McTell's Streets of London.
Well, again, while you're getting set up there, George, thanks very much for coming in. And just to remind everybody, George and the Rising Suns are playing the Venue Athlone tomorrow night. You can check out the Venue Athlone on Facebook for all the details. And for more on where else George will be playing, go to georgemurphymusic.com. You ready, guys? Okay. George Murphy and the Rising Suns to play us out with Ralph McTell's Streets of London.
Have you seen the old man in the closed down market, kicking up the papers with his worn out shoes? In his eyes you see no pride, his hands held loosely at his side. Yesterday's papers telling yesterday's news. So how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you that the sun don't shine? Let me take you by the hand, I'll lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind. Have you seen the old girl who walks the streets of London? Dirt in her hair and her clothes in rags. She's no time for talking, she just keeps right on walking, carrying her home into carrier bags. So how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you that the sun don't shine? Let me take you by the hand, I'll lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind. In the all-night cafe at 11:15, the same old man sitting there on his own, looking at the world over the rim of his teacup. Each tea lasts an hour and then he wanders home alone. So how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you that the sun don't shine? Let me take you by the hand, I'll lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something to make you change your mind. Have you seen the old man outside the seaman's mission? Memories fading with the metal ribbons that he wears. In this winter city, the rain cries a little pity for one more forgotten hero in a world that doesn't care. So how can you tell me you're lonely and say for you that the sun don't shine? Let me take you by the hand and lead you through the streets of London. I'll show you something that'll make you change your mind. Yes, I will show you something to make you change your mind.
Midlands 103 podcasts. Miss a show? Listen back anytime on midlands103.com or wherever you get your podcasts.